everybody. Welcome to a very special pop up edition of the Katie Weaver Show. It's not very often we get together on a Friday evening, but I'm so excited to be here with a friend. So I want to introduce my friend GL Blackhouse to the show. Good morning. What am I saying? Good evening.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here and grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, I'm so glad that you are here. Good morning. Where the hell did that come from?
Retrogrades, retrogrades.
No amount of time change will accommodate that. No doubt. Yeah, this retrograde has been weird, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
It
has.
doesn't always hit quite this hard, but that whole social media outage earlier this week in the retrograde, I mean, you just can't deny that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but just weird stuff too with uploading a podcast earlier today that I know I hit send on and hadn't. Just stuff like that. I've
Oh
noticed a
yeah,
little more funny. Some retrogrades, I think, yeah, it doesn't phase me. And this one, it's been not hard, but just interesting.
yeah, I'm feeling it too. I think
I am.
everyone on one level or another. It seems.
Yeah, wild. Hey, Renee. We are in the chat, you guys, on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to come in and visit with us, you are more than welcome to do so. Yeah. So before we dive into all that good stuff, what have you been doing today? Anything exciting?
Just doing like book promotion, stuff like that. That's kind of is where my focus is right now.
Sure.
And just finding like gratitude in all the moments, like whether or not like it's a retrograde or whatever, instead of asking, why is this happening when things happen like that, or like all of a sudden, with the retrograde,
Yeah.
how is it serving me? So just really try to move into that space. And my spirituality for years has been
Uh-huh.
like through my writing. So that really grounds me because I'm a Pisces sun and
Yeah.
Pisces Mercury. So I need that writing because I have that Capricorn moon in the third house and my Venus in Capricorn in the third. So that really helps ground me, bring me out of
Uh-huh.
the clouds, back
Uh-huh.
down to earth.
Down to planet Earth. Well, good. Hello, Jacqueline. Well, very good. Well, we spent the entire afternoon chasing around from different dollar stores and craft stores because we had a thing we really want to make. We love Halloween at my house, like way more than any other holiday. And I saw on TikTok these skeletons, just not very big ones, just like maybe 6 inches, that they had glued butterfly wings to. So they looked like fairy skeletons. And
Oh,
I had to have them. I have to make them. I There's this little part of me that's like, I hope the fairies don't pay me back for this. But
I
but they
love
were
it.
so cute. Yeah, but my goodness. Anyway, so it took four different stores to finally find the skeletons, and then another store to finally find the butterfly wings. So anyway, it's been a long journey, and now I shall have my fairy skeletons.
I
By
love
gosh.
it.
I'm
I hope
actually
you
so
post
excited.
pics on Facebook of it so we all can enjoy
I
it.
will. I will for sure. That's so unique. Anyway, we've been working hard to we're the only people on our street that do anything for Halloween.
Oh,
And yeah, there's just not a lot. We don't get trick or treaters. There's just not a lot of it around here. But Scott and I are Halloween fools. So we
it's a wonderful
also
time of year.
we've made the coolest ghost, and I've got the stuff to make a couple more. I don't have I got to build up the hand strength to help him with another one. But you make a form out of chicken wire that's the shape of a full size person with
Oh,
arms and torso, and then just like kind of a bell skirt for the legs and a head. And then you spray the bottom of it with black or green spray paint so it really blends into the ground. And then at night, you shine a spotlight just to the side of it so it just catches a whisper of it. And I'll tell you what, when you drive past my house, you know you saw something, but you're not sure what
oh, I love
because you
it.
look straight
I
through it.
love it.
You just kind of see it and you go, I just, what the hell did I just see? It's so cool. So Scott wants to build two more children to go with it. And I'm like, children?
I
I'm
love it.
going to have
I'm sure
ghost
the
kids in my
neighbors
yard?
love it. I'm
Yeah,
sure they
I don't
love
know.
it. It's so cool.
I'm excited. I can't wait to get another one going. But anyway, that's our biggest addition this year. And a big 55-gallon barrel that he has a skeleton standing up to and like leaning over, and he's got a pump that's running out and a hose that comes out of its mouth with this green sludgy stuff that like reacts to black light. So it's like this perpetually puking skeleton. Yeah.
I hope you post video now too. I need more than just a picture.
Right. We'll have to get video. The ghost, I've tried to get some video of the ghost and you can't.
Oh, wow.
It's just a trick on your eye. You really, the video
Yeah.
does nothing. But ooh, yeah, I'll get you something from the skeleton.
And I love it too that you had that mysterious element, because it's kind of like in real life when you see ghosts and it's all that periphery, you know, and you're like, yeah, I love that how you added that in there.
It's truly scary, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we'll be the freaks on the yard on the street. We always are anyway. So, you know, we'll add to it. Anyway, I'm all about it. Yes. Well, let's dive into our topic because we have a lot we wanted to talk about. So the reason that we did a pop-up together today is because you have your second book that just published this week.
Yeah, and I'm so excited about it. I have been writing since I was 10 years old. It started I was really close to my grandfather, who was ironically a Capricorn, where my moon and Venus is. And we were really close. And he was like the first death in my family, like, you know, like when I really started to notice that. And he, on February 16th, he passed away. And then on February the 19th, my birthday, we buried him. And it was like, because it was like that first experience, like with that, I didn't know how to process that pain. And then I started writing like my first like poetry, and it evolved over the years to like screenplays, highlights magazine published, Elephant Journal, things like that. And then it just started writing stories, but it came so much of like almost like meditative in a sense, because it just brought me down, you know, back down to reality. And it really grounded me in just that sacred connection with the divine, God, goddess, whatever that is. But I really felt that in my being. And, you know, so it's near and dear to me that this book series, it's been a long time in the making. So,
I mean, you started the first book, what? I mean, it had to be, what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, you could read it then, you know, like was one of the first to get a look at it. And it was, and then, you know how it goes with like astrology and timing. And then I sent it out relentlessly, and I just got like a lot of pushbacks, and, you know, like people wanted me to change things, make adjustments, and I knew it wasn't the right time. And then it just kind of came to me like again, and I knew it was like the right time. But honestly, the first book didn't get published till like 5 years later. So for any writers, don't give up, because, you know, that tenacity pays off.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Well, yeah, the first book came out last year.
Yeah.
And the first book is called Butterfly. Help me.
Secrets. Butterfly Secrets. I actually have
Secrets.
it here with me. I know the screen flips it sometimes. This is the first one of the series. Butterfly Secrets. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It is a very sweet story. I absolutely loved it. And so tell us a little bit about the heroine.
Okay, so I'll kind of put them both together. So for people who are not familiar with book one, or like if they are, or two, they can kind of catch them up. It starts with Amelia Smith. She's like a workaholic, you know, and she comes like from this dysfunctional family, and like, you know, there was a lot of substance abuse, just like a lot of mental health issues, a lot of dysfunction. So she loses her sister Jordy when she's 10 years old, and they had this bond because she's kind of like her parent to her because of her dysfunctional parents. And then after that, she loses like her grandmother. This is her, like her rock, her glue of the family. So, you know, she gets to the point to where she just runs away, and she moves to Chicago. She uses the name Amelia there, like where her family called her M. It's really just trying to change her identity, run away from her past, you know, because she has so many wounds from that past. And then she gets this call from back home from like a childhood love of hers, this crush Jackson, who is pulling her back into come back because she lost her mother, and she didn't know like her mother had died in this accident because they had been estranged from each other. So she comes back home, but it's really this fight because she thought she left that behind her, you know, and she doesn't even sleep because she has these psychic abilities. And when she sleeps, she gets like nightmares, she thinks, but it's like really messages from like her sister and her grandmother. They're trying to help her, but like, so she lives on coffee and caffeine and like, just really doesn't sleep. She works. So it's like her escape method. And then so in book 1, she comes back home and like she's got to learn to face her demons and shadows or kind of let them overtake her. And like, so she's getting these messages from her grandmother and sister, and she's resistant to those because they scare her a little bit, her mediumship abilities. And she saw her sister's death, she couldn't save her, so she kind of has a little resentment towards them. But this undeniable,
and a lot of trauma.
Yeah, a lot of trauma. And so it's like facing that trauma, and it's learning like, I've got to learn to accept these gifts and like, because they're helping me, and face these shadows or keep running, like, to heal my heart, I'm going to have to break it, like I have to do that. And, like how you said with trauma. So that's the first book. And book 2 is like, so Amelia finally thinks she has peace, or M as they call her. And, she's settled in, and you know how it is, like with your gifts, there are a purpose there. She's got to use those. So, there's a mysterious death in the town of a local boy, Harley Puckett Jr. There's no one knows what happened. It was like a mysterious death that's in a small town, and they're blaming like the political entities there that are very just not at the highest light. Let's say that they're just not. They don't have the best intent. They point the blame at like a beloved small town pastor in the town, and like so and her husband, Amelia's husband, is asked to represent this pastor. And he's dear to her family, he's dear to her Aunt Georgia, who's like who's been a very strong matriarch in her family. So Jackson decides to represent this pastor, and it has like the town divided. There's some who are there for the political things, and then there's others who like are with the pasture, so you have to kind of have that. And then, so like her dream, she's a little bit more centered in them now, but like she's still, it's kind of like new shoes, how like when you have them, you're not really, they don't really fit good. So you're trying to wear them in so they're comfortable. So she's using these gifts now to like help her get clues in this murder. And she finds like, her sister comes back up, her grandma, but she also is learning like some unexpected allies, but it's learning like who she can trust, who she can't. And she's like in this plot of like revenge and power and greed. And, it's really learning to embrace those gifts, trust the messages she gets. And like, because the clock is ticking away because there's someone that's very dear to her that is suddenly taken away. She doesn't know how to deal with it. So she's got like that desperation, but then really trying to ground herself and her gifts and let them use it to either, help her with this or send her down like a supernatural rabbit hole. Sure. So, and she's like risking her life. So that's it in a nutshell of what it is.
Well, it sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. Your character development is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I like with her that like, you really want to like her. And in some ways you kind of want to slap her,
Laughing it's true.
Because you're like, get over your drama, enough of your issues and problems. I really like that about her, because she's not just all rainbows and butterflies. She's actually kind of a pain in the ass, And
exactly.
That's a lot more like real people, and especially someone that would have the trauma that she has had, which I really, I not that I like her trauma, but I like the character development of her being real,
Thank you. Yeah, because no one has like everyone has things they're working on in their journey, and like I learned a long time ago in like my writing journey that like even villains, you got to find like, and she's not the villain, of course, she's the heroine, but even in villains, they have depth and some likability, you're just not all this or that. So like we all have shades. So that was very important to me to have like, someone real.
I think the best villains have some likability.
Absolutely.
I think some of the best stories make you wonder which team you should be rooting for,
Exactly.
Have you watched Yellowstone?
No, everyone says
Okay.
it's so good. I've really got to watch it.
It's so good, but it's so confusing because you're like, okay, I should really not like the Duttons because they're actually truly horrific people, but you do like the Duttons. And it's just such a weird dichotomy. Every time I watch that show, my husband and I both walk away going, I don't know how to feel about these people, but to me, those are the best villains. And so I think that's a great point. There's a lot of emotion in both books, obviously. How how raw is it for you to write the emotion? Like, and I ask that because for me in writing emotional stuff, that's besides love scenes. Oh God, that's hard. You know, uh, the emotional stuff is very bare,
Right,
and
yeah.
so I wonder how you process that.
I really, it's like an experience because, like, of course it is fiction, but prior to writing, now I'm
Mhm.
like in public relations and stuff at work. But
Mhm.
prior to that, what I worked in is like the mental health field. I
Right.
worked with children and adults, and then I worked like with substance abuse. So,
Yeah.
like that, and then like just, people's experiences and
Mhm.
families' experience and friends. It really helped
Yeah.
me just kind of encapsulate it and just roll it all up to like kind of see that. And you see like the,
Mhm.
like trauma that's so intense, but like how they like kind of turn it around and like find those
Mhm.
gifts from it, or like that strength,
Mhm.
and that's just so inspiring to me. It's just to make that real because, we all do have so many emotions that we go through each day. And like, even like when we're at our lowest or whatever,
Yeah.
and like you can look back at your life 5-10 years or whatever, like to your most challenging aspects or whatever tribulation, and you
Yeah.
can always see like how you got that growth or even gifts in them. So
Yeah.
that was really important for me to portray that across with Amelia.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well, you do have a trailer. And I was going to play it sooner, and we just kind of got into our conversation. And so I really like these kinds of conversations to be so organic because they're just the best when they are.
Absolutely.
But I think this is a good time for us to take a minute and get the and look at the trailer. So I'm going to share the screen here so that we can do that. Let's see. Okay. All right. And I think I'm just going to knock you.
Totally fine. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I love that.
thank you.
That was a great trailer. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to read the second book. Love, love, love that the baby's name is Jordy. That is so sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think it's important just to honor her sister and that, and I really just and I'm like, the I like to leave things like with a good, happy ending. I
Yeah.
kind of like you. I know I think pretty that you don't like to watch scary movies and stuff, so I don't like anything like that. It really bothers me. I joke to my
Hmm.
friends that like the scariest I get is like Ghostbusters. So it's just so there's no horror or anything like that, but I do like a good mystery and story, but
Sure.
nothing gory.
I hear that. I do.
I know you do.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea either. Uh, Scary to me is a mystery, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this time of year, all the supernatural thrillers start rolling out, and I'm like, God,
Yeah, I've
no.
watched none of them. I mean, I watched Sixth Sense like years ago, and I'm gonna be honest, it shook me too. Like I was disturbed from it even.
Hmm. The
So
Sixth Sense ruined me.
yeah, me
Yeah, I
too.
didn't
Me
know it was going to be so scary. I had
too.
a My oldest was a baby, and my husband and dad had gone hunting. And my mom and I were like, well, let's just take the baby and go to a movie. So, like idiots, we go to this movie. And oh my God, it scared me so bad. And then I had to go back home alone and sleep in my
Oh,
house by myself, which I don't like doing ever,
oh no, no.
especially after that. Oh my hell. Yeah, I'm with you. But when I was a kid, the movie that scared me half to death was The Watcher in the Woods.
Oh, I don't.
Do you
I've
remember
not heard.
that?
No.
It's a Disney movie, and it's not scary, it's just creepy.
Yeah.
But being a psychic kid who always
Well,
kind of felt
yeah.
like I was being watched, The Watcher in the Woods scared the bejesus out of me. My mom always thought that was so funny because it's not a scary movie, but to me, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what people always tell me too. They're like, "Oh, you can watch Sixth Sense or you can watch that. It's not scary." And I'm like, when you like have that, you can
Yes, it is.
you don't want to be reminded.
Somehow last fall, I got roped into watching The Hill House, The Haunting of the Hill House.
Oh no.
Oh my god, it was a
No.
series on Netflix, and it was so freaking scary, and I just couldn't look away. And it was like a lot of it was, like funeral home scenes. It was death scenes, and which isn't inherently scary, but that the way that movie or that series was, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, but oh my god, it did a number on me, and I'm thinking, "You're in your 40s, like, you can say no. You don't have to put yourself through this," but I did, boy. And
Yeah.
now they have a new apparently the people who made The Haunting of the Hill House have a new series, and I went, "Nope, nope, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for it. I just
Is
can't."
it that Midnight Mass that everyone's talking about? Is that it?
I'm
The
not
midnight
sure.
something like Midnight Mass or something on Netflix that everyone's
Mm,
talking about. And I was like, oh no, I can't watch it. I don't watch it.
mm.
I
Oh,
really
the
don't.
new Sabrina on Netflix was scary enough for this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I'll watch the old Charm. I love it, because
Uh-huh.
that's about my level of like Charm. But like the
Yes.
new Charm was way too intense for me.
Uh-huh.
Like, did you see it? Then any of the new
I
Charm?
could not get into it. I tried multiple times. I really, really wanted to like it, and it just didn't do it
Yeah,
for me.
same. Well, I mean, I thought it was like too intense and scary for me, so I
Uh-huh.
couldn't watch. I was like, I'll watch the old Charm. That's more my speed.
It was a little darker, I thought, than
Yeah,
New
so I
Charm or
couldn't
than
watch
Old
it
Charm.
because it was way too dark, and I
Yeah.
was like, I just can't. So like the old one, I loved, but
Uh-huh.
the new one just wasn't. I don't have that capability. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Well, Sabrina is dark as hell, and for some reason, I'm still watching that, but
Maybe I'll try. I don't know. Like, maybe not.
you you'll be calling me. You'll be like, "Why? Why? Why did you tell me to watch that?" Maybe
I
stick with
totally
Care
hear
Bears
you.
or No, I totally hear you. Well, but you prove that you can write a great story without too much of that stuff.
Thank you.
And that's a good thing. So I have to ask, with the books, where do we go from here? Is there a number three?
Yeah, there's a third of the series of the butterfly series, and it'll
Mhm.
wrap up the series of that. And then, believe it or not, I just got finished like with the first draft of like a sci-fi series, which really even shocks
Okay.
me, but it just came. Like it's almost like that channeled writing, and I know I like have the help of my grandfather, and I just
Yeah.
hear those words, and if I don't write those down, it's like that nagging just gets louder and louder, and
Mhm.
that was the direction I was pushed. And then there's like a series that'll probably be a 2-book series that'll be like a love story. So I really honestly love the kind of like the paranormal romance mystery kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of thing. But I really have started a sci-fi of all things, and I mean, the
Uh-huh.
first draft's done, so we'll see. I think I'll always write. Like I said, I've done it since I was 10. I can't
Yeah.
imagine it not in my life. But now we'll say, but I don't want to say never. I tried like to write like a vampire series because I do like vampire
Mhm.
movies. If I can, if they're tame, really tame. Um, and like a friend's like, you cannot write horror because I had the vampires drinking goblets, drinking blood out of goblets. She's like, you cannot write horror. I was like, I know.
Oh, that's funny. Well, but I do kind of like you are, you're playing around a little bit with the different genres, and that's fun. It's, even like Dan Brown. Dan
Yeah,
Brown hasn't put out a new book in a while, and I'm really quite sick of him over it because I need the next Dan
yeah,
Brown. But you know what he
absolutely.
did? He put out a children's book. And he
Yeah.
said, "I am a little tired of what I've been doing. I need to do something else." And his fans are like, "No, Professor Langdon, God damn it," And he's
He's
like,
so
"Oh,
good at that. But that
right."
mystery
And
thriller.
yeah, and I think the next one will come, but he just kind of needed to break it up, and his fans were actually like not very cool about it because they want, their Dan Brown fix. But he's kind of, he's written himself into a corner, and now he wants to break out of it, which is totally understandable. But I kind of like that, even in your early writing career here, you are dipping your toe into some different genres so that maybe, you don't get stuck. You can write in various avenues, and I think that's smart.
Yeah, I like to challenge myself and be new to open genres, and always pull spirit in when I write, and just try to go where it leads me instead of like leading attachment to it. Because like when people, and or like even for viewers like that want to write, because I know like a lot of people say come to me and like they're like, I wish I could write, and
Yeah.
really the biggest piece of advice I could give them is just do it, don't attach to it. And
Yeah.
like an athlete that trains every day, there's going to be days that you train really well and you do great. You're going
Mhm.
to have great riding. And there's going to be some days that your riding is horrible. But like
Mhm.
doing it every day, you're practicing that muscle.
Yeah.
And that's like the most important thing I can say. And just get that
Mhm.
started on paper, and it, just keep with it. That's
Mhm.
the best thing I can say. And, I don't attach to it. I just let the characters develop. And sometimes it even surprises me where they go. But I just
Uh-huh.
kind of let it, I think and it's totally slipped my mind now, but it was a sculptor, and that's what he said. Like he did with his works, like they kind of just sculpted themselves, and he just followed that inspiration. He didn't
Yeah.
have any attachment to that. Maybe it was Rodin, I can't remember, but it was like just sculpting where he felt that flow, and that's what I try to do with writing. Is just call spirit in and just go where it
Mhm.
leads me.
Uh-huh. Mhm. I love that. And I agree. Daily writing it's key even when you don't feel like it. And I know for me, I've had days where I really didn't feel like it, and some of the best work happened. But it's certainly disciplining yourself. And I like that you likened that to an athlete because of course as an athlete you have many days that you don't feel like training, but you push through, or you don't, but hopefully you have more days that you do than you don't. And you know it is very much the same. It's disciplining yourself, it's turning off your phone, it's getting the hell off Facebook, it's you know disciplining yourself to put that focus there. And I think that's why it's a muscle that has to be practiced, because when you are developing your intuition, you have to really learn how to shift your frequency and your brain's frequency to the right place for that intuition to flow. And writing to me is no different, in learning how to do that and keep yourself there and not, you know, let yourself get constantly distracted and away from your goals. So I think you're doing a really good job with that. Obviously, you've got lots of information coming in, and you're finding a way to manage it, which is great. When you first put something on paper, are you typing or are you handwriting?
Oh, I'm going to be honest, Katie. I'm so glad that there is a typewriter, and my penmanship is probably illegible at this time. Because I love it because you don't have to scratch it out. It's not as much effort, and I'm just going away, typing away, and
Hmm.
those things. Like, so I mean, I would try by hand. I've tried, but like, it was just too daunting. I mean, I'm just so
Uh-huh.
grateful for a laptop and computer
Yeah.
that's not a pen and paper or even a typewriter.
Uh-huh. I really honor people that can just that are sitting down and still like writing things
I'm
out, but
saying,
there's no way in hell for me either. Well, I have rheumatoid arthritis. My hands get unhappy. I mean, even just for like small things that I need to write, I usually voice text them first because
yeah.
and then just edit them because it's easy, it's better for me. But I still see people, like I have clients that have, binders and binders and notebooks of things they've handwritten. And I'm honestly blown away by it. That is, yeah, I'm with you. That's not me either. And I think it's fine. However, whatever
Oh
your
yeah,
process is the right
absolutely.
thing. But
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
amazed by the handwritten word. Like, I honor it, but
yeah, me too. And I have to give you kudos too because you're an excellent writer too. Like your a book that you wrote years ago about like the witches and her journey was just so good. Your characters were well developed. I
well,
just
thank
love
you.
her like journey with that. You're welcome. And so like you're a tremendous writer too. You really are.
Well, thank you.
You're
Lots
welcome.
of years of practice. My mom was a teacher,
Oh, I
and
love that.
books and literature were a huge deal at my house. And when I was a kid, she would always look for additional, like educational opportunities for us. And our local college had a creative writing class for kids. And so it was more like, it wasn't even for kids. It was just like I can't remember the word, but like an extended learning kind of class. And in junior high, she put my sister and I in that class. She put us through it twice. And there were adults in that class, and we were the youngest kids in there. But in that class, you were expected to basically write a whole book, throughout the course of that like 8-week course. And then you would judge each other's work. And so we were, writing and then putting that up against adults, and their writing. And at the time, I didn't really like it, to be honest. At the time,
Yeah,
I
of
didn't like
course.
it. I'm like,
Yeah, of course that age.
I could be hanging out with my friends. And also, like, I don't really need these old people telling me what to write. But I look back on it now and I'm like, that's actually pretty amazing
It was.
because, yeah,
Absolutely.
because writing has been pretty second nature for me. And it may not have been had she not been so focused on that. But anyway, I look back now and think, man, she knew what was up. And we were probably jerks about it. We were probably typical teenagers. We're like, yeah, you know, extra school. No, thank you. But, she persevered. That's what a mom does. But
Yeah, they do. Well, I have a question. Do you still have the book you wrote then? Did you keep it?
no,
Oh man,
no,
that would
I
be
don't
amazing
even
to look
remember what it
back.
was.
It
Yeah,
would
isn't that sad?
be amazing.
This was pre-computer days. It was definitely handwritten.
The dark
Um,
ages. The dark
the
ages.
dark ages, yeah. I was thinking about that. Like, I wonder if somewhere in my stuff I have either of those. I bet I don't. There was probably that part of me that's like, I don't need this anymore.
What's a retrograde? If it's going to surface, it could surface now.
Right? So crazy. So there's a couple of comments I wanted to address. Relay
Yeah.
Station said, you'll have to make a movie or a show as well. And I so agree. I mean, the Butterfly series would be such an awesome movie series.
Oh, thank you, Jean. Yeah, that is definitely, I do have connections like with filmmakers and stuff, like independent filmmakers, and that's
Mhm.
definitely something that I've looked at. I would love, of course, to see those characters come to life. I mean, so
Uh-huh.
thank you, Jean, so much. I mean, that's definitely a dream of mine, and I would certainly be open to that because, I
Yeah.
mean, just like I said, I've done it since I was 10, and I just love it, and it would be a movie I could watch.
Mhm. I think
Because
it'd be a movie a lot of
I
people would wanna watch. Yeah, not too
well,
scary, and of
yeah, because like I don't watch any scary, so
course, I
there's
don't know, maybe they would run with it and make it scary as hell, you don't know.
yeah.
Maybe the screenwriter would go, "We did a little more horror in this, I don't know."
Wouldn't that be sad? Like if they made a movie out, I couldn't even watch
You're like, I'm gonna just, I was gonna say fast forward through this part because I'm
it.
old and that's what we would do, like on a VCR, but yeah, I hear this. But it would be an amazing thing, it really would, and
Yeah, I would love it.
just the flavor of the books, the energy of them and the characters, like these are things I could see, in some kind of a movie. Again, with that heroine, that we would love and want to slap sometimes. I
Yeah,
could really see her develop,
yeah.
Yeah.
And those are really to me like the best movies. Like when you get in and you forget like that's like Scarlett Johansson or Tom Hanks, or
Hmm.
like you're really into that character and you're just like, why
Yeah.
can't you see this?
Yeah.
Those are the kind I love, like when you have that, or like you said, those villains. And like, I don't watch any scary, like I said, but I did
Hmm.
let some friends at work talk me into watching the series You on Netflix, and he's like a serial killer. And I only watched a few episodes, but like I found myself feeling sorry for that character because it was like to his
Hmm.
point, and I was like, what is wrong with me? like you said with those from Yellowstone, and you're
Yeah.
like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah. Well, that's just good character development. It is, it is. So Sheila said that she wonders, uh, oh, do you prepare a story outline as a guide, or do you just go where inspiration leads you? Do you
uh,
map it out?
Yeah, actually, it's yes and no, Sheila. I'm a Pisces sun and Mercury in Pisces, which means like I'm mutable and flexible. I really don't like a lot of structure, but like that Earth, Moon, and Venus lets me know I gotta have the structure. I have
Mhm.
tried just to write it, and I normally do like so. Sometimes I will have an outline, but I really don't do like strict guidelines. But I have found like a loose outline
Mhm.
helps me put it into form because if not, it'll go all over the place. Um,
Mhm.
I needed them more like when I first started writing than now. But I honestly just try to focus on like I'll have the idea and then like a chapter at a time, or I can kind of get
Yeah.
out there. But I definitely recommend an outline. They're very
Mhm.
helpful. I just don't always do that because I
Mhm.
just I just like to go where it takes me. But saying that, I will say the warning that like when you don't have an outline, sometimes you can end up way out in space. So
Yes. And sometimes that creates just wasted time where you end up cutting a bunch of stuff that's but whatever. I mean, it's all good practice. It's all good work, but
do you do
yeah.
outlines, Katie? I'm just curious. What's
I
your
use it kind of. Yeah, I do. I use a program called Scrivener.
mm-hmm,
So Scrivener, you get it from this website called Literature and Lattes. I
mm-hmm.
think
I
it's
love
like
that.
$40 for a lifetime, a license to use it. And Scrivener is this awesome program that lets you organize into chapters and like there's a spot for your title page and there's a spot for your acknowledgments and there's a spot for, all your extras and then all your chapters so that you can go in because I know for me once I get a book mapped out, then sometimes I need to go back to a certain chapter and maybe at some point I decide no, I wish I'd named the sheriff Ted or whatever, and I want to go back. I can go, it's easier to find those things and, keep organized. Or if you go, you know what, in chapter 10, I just, I want to develop that story a little bit more, or I want to do whatever. It's easier because you can just work that one spot. But then when you go to tie it all together, your manuscript is all ready for you and it generates it into uh, Amazon ready, you know, in an ebook ready
Oh,
program, which
wow, that is
which
really
is
amazing. Because
huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that because I can relate to that. Sometimes characters all change their name, or like
Hmm.
as I went to book one, I had book
Hmm.
one and I was building off of book two, and I'll be like, what did I name that person? Like, so that would have been
Yeah.
really helpful to have a program like that.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, and there's like there's note cards. You can like put note cards on each chapter so that you can put a few notes of like maybe what it's about or what you're doing. When I wrote my first book, when I was proofing it, so like really like ready to go out proofing last reading, I realized that one of the sub characters had two different names. Halfway through the book, I changed.
I can relate. Yeah.
Mhm. And I
Because
didn't even,
yeah.
it hadn't even occurred to me reading. I'm like, now wait, who the hell is that? Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think it's good to have that, breakdown so that you can really just work on things a piece at a time. But I think it cuts the overwhelm as well. When you break it down, what's the old saying? You can't eat an elephant in a day, but you can start with one bite, and you can do that with writing too when you're just
Love
doing
that.
a piece of it at a time. I think it makes you feel a little bit more organized and less like you're flying by the seat of your pants. Maybe, I don't know, but
I love that. I love that because I have done it like both ways, and I can see like,
Mhm.
I really have had things that I really wish I would have been more structured with. And like, I do think the characters write themselves. The more you'll get in there, and
Yeah.
their names do change and evolve, and
Mhm.
that sounds really good. Like with that, I would definitely recommend that
Mhm.
to writers, and I would also
Mhm.
recommend. I know it probably goes without saying, but like especially during retrogrades, back your stuff up, like
Oh,
put it
yeah.
on a hard drive, save and
Yes.
resave. Don't just have it on your desktop, because I
Mhm.
had that happen once and I hadn't backed my last copy up. My
Yep.
computer crashed.
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah.
I do remember
I
that.
was just like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm quitting writing. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah, always have Dropbox or the cloud or
Yeah,
something that your
it's like,
stuff stays
and
in.
then there wasn't a cloud. That was the
Sure,
early days
yeah.
we talked about, and I was like, oh no. But like, it's always just important to have like those backups and just kind of have
Yes.
all that. But and like you said, a piece at a time, because I think if you get too attached to it, then it kind of like limits it. And honestly, all I can say is do it because I can't remember who the writer was, but they said write the story you want to read. So don't write it
Yeah.
for other people, write it for
Mhm.
you. And like the way I look at it is like do what you
Mhm.
love. Like if you love to write, do it. And if it doesn't
Mhm.
sell or if it doesn't get like the audience you want, the worst thing that happened was you spent time doing what you loved. And how was
Yeah.
that a bad thing? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so just
I
to,
love
because
that.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, especially just kind of with the theory of competition. You know what I mean? So competition is such a damaging energy that it just has no place in creativity. And yet it aches its head up in creativity and intuition, but it
Mhm.
raises its head up because we do compete to some degree for attention or for income, for lots of things. But uh the idea that the right people will be drawn to the right person or to the right story or to the right message really resonates with me when it comes to writing. And I've heard this from lots of my clients. I have a lot of clients that write, actually. It's actually so cool. But I've heard this lots of times from people that go, is anyone going to even want to read this? And I go, yeah, you felt inspired to write this. So you put the last, X amount of months of your life into writing it. That was not for nothing. When you feel that inspired to write something and put it out into the world, it is for someone, and probably more than just one someone, of course, and it's for you, obviously, but it is for someone who needs that message and needs that, whatever it is, and it could be something out of the book that maybe wasn't even a gem that you pulled from it, but that was exactly the part of it they needed to see. And so I really resonate with that. Well, that you write it, and the right people will see it. They will get to it, and that's not your job. You write it, you put it out into the universe, and you do your job to get it out into the world, and the right people will be drawn to it. And that's just that. Of course, sometimes that turns into a big stage, and sometimes it doesn't. But that doesn't matter either.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I tell people, because a lot of people do say that, and I say, well, there's all different kinds of genres of music. There's classical, bluegrass,
Yeah,
pop, hard rock, so many now on iTunes that I can't even like name them all. They've added other categories. And I don't like all those categories. There's some I like more
sure.
than others, but that's going to be
Yeah,
same with the books we write. There's something out there for everyone. Like you said, you're
absolutely.
inspired to write it. Someone's going to want to read it. Not everyone will like
Absolutely.
it, but people will. So
Absolutely. I mean, my God, some people pay money on the internet to stare at other people's feet. You know, It- there is something for everyone. And writing, yep, and media is no different. Yep.
yeah, my son, I'm in that age group. He calls me a boomer, like whatever.
Okay.
And I'm not a boomer. I explained that to him, but I'm not. But
You're like,
anyway,
I'm a Gen Xer. Get over
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm
Learn
not.
the difference.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with boomers. But anyway, like I still don't get the
No.
concept, excuse me, of like people watching on YouTube, like they watch kids, like other kids play with toys.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or playing video games.
Well, my son does that too, and I'm like, why would you
Uh-huh.
watch someone else play a video
Yeah.
game?
Well, they'll watch people for hours playing Minecraft and stuff. And I know, I know, but that convinces me, right? That there
Yeah,
is a genre for everything. Yes.
there is absolutely. I've learned that there's different kind of videos where they'll just watch people like sensory things, like scrunching bottles or like that plastic wrap. So many things that I would
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna watch that, but like people
People
do.
do.
So
People
there's
do.
something for everyone.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole TikTok trend of watching how you clear something out of a glass. So, like, maybe it's like lemon heads and you clear it out and they scatter everywhere. Or maybe it's pudding and you clear it out and it's this smooth, cut across. People love it.
Yeah, so
I,
there's proof.
yeah. So, furthermore, so crazy. Relay Station also asked, where can we purchase the books? And is there a place for a business to order wholesale?
Oh, thank you so much, Jean. You can purchase them. You can find them at Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm.
They're at Barnes and Nobles. They're at Walmart.com. There's several other places, but I don't know the name of them. And there's some bookstores that go through distributors. I know like that are local where I live, but
Uh oh. There you are. You froze for just a minute.
happy retro.
Yep. I'm going to put a link in the comments to your author's page at Amazon because both of your
Thank
books are
you.
there.
Perfect.
So you
Perfect.
can find that.
Yeah, and it's also available. The first book is available, Butterfly Secrets, and it's available on audio. And I would tell people, like, if you're an author, I'm like through my own experience talking to other authors,
Yeah.
podcasts, things like that. I have learned, like Katie said, it's a very competitive market, but don't let that deter you. But
No.
audiobooks are not as competitive as paperbacks. They're
Yes,
not. So if you can do it audio, it gives you a little bit of an edge. So just a little tip.
it does. And a lot of people love audiobooks.
I love them. I really do. I love audio.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to Hay
Mm-hmm.
House audio and Audible. I love it.
Sure. Well, audiobooks are such a great way to be able to multitask.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, these days, we're busy.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I agree with that totally. Let's see. Oh, it did post. Okay.
Thank
There we
you.
go. Just double checking my work here. But yeah, well, yes, audiobooks are amazing for that. And yes, if you can find the platform to do an audiobook, it's well worth your time. Yeah. And want to say hi to Sharon.
Hello,
Yeah.
Sharon.
So we have about 10 minutes left, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the spiritual practice, because I know that it's not just a creative process and the connection between intuition and creativity, though that's a lot of it, but you also are a very intuitive person.
Thank you.
And you have written that into your books because it's something that you're passionate about. And because obviously you want other people to be able to find a way to become comfortable with their gifts, which leads me to ask you, what have you done to become comfortable with your gifts? Because clearly there is a background here.
Yeah, it's been a long process, like connecting like with spirit, angels, and guides. I've done that since I was little, and that writing thing. I've always had that spirituality side, but like the medium side, like you said, like when you're that kid and you have like those movies scare you because you really see those things. They're there. A little bit of it, even though the character wasn't me, but I did draw from my own struggle, just like how my gift scared me at the time. And I think like everyone, like whatever our gift is, if you're like a writer or singer or actor or
Yeah.
whatever, there's times like you question why you have those gifts and like you don't want them, or like you're like
Yeah.
it's like and you're like I'm done, but like then universe, God, goddess keeps bringing those back to you again and again. So
Yeah.
some of it's just like my own growth and struggle, and then learning like those weren't like a curse. Like we all
Yeah.
have those things, and like it's really meant to help us, and like we really can't run from whatever we've chosen as our gifts this life. It's there, and it's embrace it, and it's going to help you, like because running you create that resistance. So like I said, it's kind of like you're out in the waves, the water's there, it's
Yeah.
crashing, you can ride them or you could go underneath.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and you'll have moments where your intuition and, those gifts feel like something you really like and want to do, and other times that they don't. But
Yeah.
that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the most like scary people of like haunted houses, all that. I do none of that,
Mhm.
So, like, so it's been like a life thing. But I do have to say, like, as far as my grandfather, he has just been such an anchor for me, even on the other side. And
Yeah.
it's so strange because he was only in my life till I was 10. But like
Uh-huh.
after he passed, I can still feel him there with my writing, still guiding me. And
Sure.
their connection is even stronger now than it was
Yeah.
then. And I think like, I would tell people like whether or not like you have where you see the dead or you hear them or none of that,
Yeah.
but know that like your ancestors are still there with you. We never lose them, and they're always rooting for us and supporting us. That's so important. But he's such an anchor in my life like that. And
Uh-huh.
that really, from that writing, when his death, when I wrote that poem from like the day,
Mhm.
on my birthday when we buried him,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to channel that grief and
Yeah.
just all that because that was totally new to me, that experience. And that's how that was a gift because it was like healing. It was my therapist, but it was also helping me
Yeah.
to connect with him. And that's why my writing is just so important because it is like
Mhm.
been my anchor through like my whole life of dealing with anything. If I'm feeling stressed, I journal or write. And
Yeah.
it's there's it's like you said, it's so much more than writing. It's a spiritual, innate part of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and what an amazing, you learned something really early that a lot of adults don't know. And that's, that gift of being able to ask your loved ones that have passed for help,
Yeah.
and to allow them to play that role in your life. We don't get taught that as kids. We
No,
don't get taught
no, no.
that in religion. We
Yeah,
don't
we're
get
taught
that
they're gone.
message.
Yeah, we're taught
Yeah.
they're gone. And then it's really learning they're not gone. And like I tell people, it's like if you
Yeah.
think like if you're in a building, it's just like they're in the same building, they're just on a different floor. They're still
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
but it is like they never leave us. And or like leaves on a tree when the leaves are gone, they appear gone, but they always bloom back. But so we
Yeah.
never really lose anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's so important. And I know you know that too, like
Mhm.
through your writing and just
Sure.
those abilities. I mean,
Mhm.
that is just, we always have that support system.
For sure. For sure. Hey, Ivy. Well, you write about death. You write about death, and that tells me a lot about you because so many people are so deeply uncomfortable talking about death. And you and I, because of because we're both mediums, we talk about death all the time.
Yeah.
And to the degree that we probably make other people uncomfortable sometimes. But and of course, you and I both have experienced a fair amount of death in our lives. But
Yeah.
I I like that you are able to write about death and grief in your work in a way that just, I think it helps people to not feel quite so alone in their own grief.
Hmm.
We're in this weird place in our society where talking about death is impolite and or improper or some damn thing. And it's not. Everyone goes through it lots of times in their life, and yet we get really weird about talking about it. And I think that it helps, your characters help to draw people out of a lonely place when they can relate to those feelings of grief and of fear and of anger, and all of the myriad of emotions that come with death. But that also means that you have become comfortable with death, because you couldn't write about it if you weren't. You couldn't. But I do really like that aspect of the books because you're helping other people in maybe in kind of an unseen way, in recognizing how other people feel going through similar things.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me, because I've honestly struggled with death for many years. It's been my own
Mhm.
journey too, because like
Sure.
just like that whole thing, and like kind of like Amelia with her sister. I was like 9 years old, and I dreamed before my grandfather died, and sometimes I've had those premonitions. So, and
Uh-huh.
then when you don't have like that control, like it's happening anyway. And then I
Mhm.
think it's really just growing into our gifts, no matter what they are. Like I said, because you're not going to be an expert at it. You have it, but it's still like that muscle you got to work. Whatever
Yeah.
your talent is this life, and it's growing
Yeah.
into it and being okay. And like I was like you. I love it. It was years ago, Katie, but like you talked about like being at home or something, and like you saw like some uh, entities in your closet or something, and like it
Uh-huh.
scared you. And like so, I've had that too. Like where your own kids like scare you.
Yeah.
And I think no matter, even if it's not mediumship or whatever, like
Yeah.
sometimes what we're meant to do can be scary, and that's okay. It's be okay to sit with
Mhm.
uncertainty. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Well, I do like that. I think in the new age thought, we've become very guilty of telling people it's not okay to feel how you feel.
Yeah,
And working in mental health, how damaging that is and how stupid that is, really, because
absolutely.
feelings, they have to be felt to some degree, and it's true that you don't have to unpack your bags and live in, pissed off places, but you do still have to, acknowledge your feelings, and it's okay to. And yeah, so just from that aspect of, being real about emotion is, I think, really important. You like me probably have felt before like what you're supposed to do is write like self-help, but I love that you're doing it differently. I did the same thing because I didn't want to write self-help. It didn't feel good. But writing about psychic stuff feels amazing. And so it's a great balance, isn't it?
It's really strange that you say that because I read like a ton of articles like on in audiobooks on self-help, but
Hmm.
I write
Me
fiction.
too. Yeah.
Me too. That's so weird. But I
Yeah.
feel like you said it helps them because I always pray for spirit to like reach who it's supposed to let them heal and help them. But
Hmm.
it is fiction. It's not like self-help, not from that traditional sense.
No, I can't. And people ask me many times over the years, you should write a book about that. And I'm like, that sounds so boring. I just can't. I can't. I won't. Maybe I will someday, and then I'll have to get those words. At this point, that's just not going to keep my attention long enough for this little ADD brain to do it. Ivy said, I find that death is a topic many people are afraid to talk about, and people will usually think you're depressed if you talk about it, which I find odd. There's a lot of truth to that.
There
Yeah.
really is, Ivy. There is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stigma attached to it, and
Hmm.
people have different perceptions. Like, we all have different emotions, and like, at funerals,
Hmm.
some people laugh, and that's okay. That's how they're processing. Some
Uh-huh.
cry, and it's okay to grieve and sit with those
Hmm.
emotions, like Katie said. So we all process grief differently, but like Katie said, it's almost like there's a stigma to it, and it's almost like people just want to shove it under the rug,
Hmm.
because it's just kind of almost like taboo in a way.
Well, you think about New Age thought in the idea that what you think about, you bring to you, which I think is true to some degree. I'll subscribe to that line of thinking to some degree, but that makes no room to think about things that you don't want, right? And so
Mhm.
then people go, oh, death. Ooh, no, I don't want to attract that to me. So, nah, I got to put that away. I got to put it in a box and put it under the bed because I do not want that. Talking about death, thinking about death isn't going to bring more death to you. Death will come to you because you're a human being. I mean, that is just a fact, But I agree with you that people get weird about acting like things are, that there's something wrong with it. when my mom died, one of our neighbors, she had been through an extreme amount of death. When I was a teenager, there was a horrible, horrible car accident in that her 9-year-old daughter and 18-year-old daughter were both killed.
Oh
And
wow.
so, and it really changed her, as you can imagine. And her other daughter, that was my age at the time, she was like 17, she was seriously injured and took many months to recover. And, like, obviously it changed her forever and changed her family forever. Uh, but right after my mom died, I was still trying to process and learn how to behave around death. And I
Hmm.
ran into her in the grocery store. And I remember it so clearly. We were standing like right over this big bin of tomatoes. And she's like, "So, heard your mom died." And she was dying of cancer. I mean, this was not a shock. It was a
Right.
huge shock, but it was not
Yeah.
a shock.
Right. Yeah.
And we chatted for just a minute. And she got way too personal
Mm.
for me, right? She didn't, because death was normal for her. But she
Mm.
was like, "So, like, what was the last little while like? Like, what did she do? What did you guys do? Were you there? Did she like start breathing really weird?" And like really personal stuff to me. And I'm
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
I am in the
Too much.
grocery store trying to get my
Yeah.
groceries. Like, I cannot. And I just kind of, I shut way down and I just went, I don't think I can, I can't do this right now. And I
Right.
just kind of left. And I thought she probably felt bad and went, oh God, that was too much. And I was pissed. I
Yeah.
got to the car and I'm like, what the hell, Marcia? You know, like,
Exactly.
I just want to buy groceries and get out of this store without crying for a change. Like, why would you do that to me? But after years of, my own process, I realized, like, she was just so comfortable with death. It didn't occur to her that I wasn't. I,
Yeah.
I- but I think that obviously we're all on our own journey in that place. But I laugh about that now and think, no, I'm probably the weirdo. I mean, well, I would not ask questions like that.
Yeah, no, me
But
either. But it's so weird. Like as you say it, I can see like
yeah,
how society, like with things that have changed society
uh-huh,
in the past 2 years, like death is something that we're having to learn to deal with and process because there's been so
yeah,
much of it. So as a
totally.
society, that's a collective lesson we're learning.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Yeah. But, I think it's in ways like media like this, we can help open up those conversations, or at least help people to find a place where they're not quite so alone in what they're feeling. So I
Absolutely.
do really honor that. We have really talked down to the end of our time. Is there anything else you would like us to know? Where do these guys find you besides your author page? Is there anywhere else you would like to direct us to? What do you want to say?
They can find me on they can just go to like I'm on Facebook. They can find me there. And then just on Amazon.com, I'm there, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart. Yeah, I mean,
Great.
I'm just focusing on writing right now, and I really do appreciate the this opportunity, Katie. It's really meant the world to me, and I really do appreciate it. I hope that
Oh,
the
my
books
honor.
touch everyone, and I hope you like it. And feel free to reach out to me, comments, questions, anything about writing. I'm happy to offer what I've learned.
That's awesome. Very good. I think there's a book in almost everybody. It's just getting the courage and getting your shit together enough to, put it out there. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here as well. This has been a fun little Friday night pop up. We don't get to do this very often. So um, thanks for giving us the chance. This has been fun. All
Thanks
right,
again,
guys, take care.
everyone.
Do something fun this weekend. You know you deserve it.